Okay, so today these are notes 75, and we are going to do two-way tables. We have been doing scatter plots. We have been talking about bivariate data. That is data that is looked at for two variables. We have looked at things like how many hours do you study and what was your grade on the test. We have looked at how tall is a dog and how much does it weigh. So a two-way table does sort of the same thing. Notice that this says this table shows the results from a survey where students were asked if they play an instrument and if they play a sport. That is the two variables. Find the sum of each row and column and then answer the questions that follow. So I'm going to go across plays an instrument here, and I see plays an instrument, I see a 9 and I see a 14. So I'm going to do 9 plus 14 in my calculator, and the total of that is 23. Then I'm going to do the same thing with does not play an instrument. I'm going to add up the 33 and the 19 in my calculator. 33 plus 19, and I get 52. Now I'm going to go down. Down plays a sport. I see a 9 and a 33. I'm going to add those up and get a 42. And then down does not play a sport. I'm going to see a 14 and a 19, and I see 33. Now this box right here is important. If we go down and add up the 23 and the 52, we get 75. If we go across 42 and 33, we also get 75. Those two numbers should match, and we only write it one time. That is 75. Now, the next thing we want to look at is these questions. It says, how many students play an instrument? So we go across play an instrument. We want the total people who play an instrument, and we get 23. Then it says how many students play an instrument and play a sport. So we want to see an overlap here. How many people play an instrument and play a sport? So we need the overlap of play an instrument and play a sport. That would be 9. How many students do not play a sport? That's a total. So we go down, does not play a sport. We're looking for a total, and we see the 33. Then it says how many students play a sport but not an instrument. Play a sport but not an instrument. So that's an overlap. Go down, play a sport, across, does not play an instrument. We see the overlap there. That is 33. Then, how many students total were surveyed? Well, that's this number in the corner. That's the total number of people that were surveyed, and that is a 75. So that's how you fill out a table if they give you the insides and you got to find the outsides and some information. Let me point something else out to you. If you add these numbers here, the 9 plus the 14 plus the 33 plus the 19, that will also equal 75. That's the total number of people surveyed. Now, this table is not filled in at all. So we need to look at the information and then figure out where we are going to put whatever they give us. Okay, so they tell us that Sydney randomly surveyed students at her school and found that 72 students ride the school bus and 37 of those buy lunch from the cafeteria. So 72 students ride the school bus. So we go down rides the bus. That would be the total of everybody who rides the bus, and we're going to put 72. Of those students, of the people who ride the bus, 37 buy lunch from the cafeteria. So 37 goes there. They ride the bus and they buy lunch from the cafeteria. Then it says there are 19 students who do not ride the bus. So find the not ride the bus thing, but they do buy lunch from the cafeteria. So the overlap of do not ride the bus and does not buy lunch from the cafeteria is 19. We are told that 9 students do not ride the bus or buy lunch from the cafeteria. So 19, hold on a second, I have done something wrong. Give me a second. Okay, I figured it out. 19 students do not ride the bus. That's down the do not ride the bus line, but they do buy lunch from the cafeteria. So that 19 goes there. And then 9 students don't ride the bus or buy lunch from the cafeteria. So the overlap of does not ride the bus, does not ride the cafeteria is 9. Now, they want us to find the rest of the table. Okay, so look at the ride the bus. We have the total. The total is 72. The buys lunch from the cafeteria is 37. So to find something on the inside, I often call that the guts of the table. We're going to subtract. We're going to do 72 minus 37, and this has to be 35 because those two numbers, 37 and 35, have to add up to 72. Now I'm ready to finish up the rest of the table since all I need are totals. So 19 plus 9, that's everybody who does not ride the bus, is 28. Then I'm going to go across. 37 plus 19 is 56. 35 plus 9 is 44. Remember, I only want to add these other numbers one time. I can double check and make sure they match. So 56 plus 44 is 100, and 72 plus 28 should also be 100. Okay, now let's answer questions. It says, how many students buy their lunch? So we're going to go across buy their lunch. We're going to find the total. 56 students buy their lunch. How many students ride the bus but don't buy their lunch? So we're looking at they ride the bus, the overlap of ride the bus and don't buy lunch. Ride the bus and don't buy lunch. That would be right here. That is the 35. How many students do not ride the bus? That's a total. We want the total of people who do not ride the bus. So we're going to go down the do not ride the bus column and we get 28. How many students do not buy lunch? We want a total. So we're going to go across does not buy lunch. We're going to go that total is 44. And then how many total students were surveyed? That's always this number in the bottom corner, and that is 100. Okay, let's look at this last one. It's got a little more going on. Notice there are 3 grades and whether or not they're going to a musical. So the 2 variables here are your grade and whether or not you're going to the musical. This would be like, are we going to the AMT production at the end of the year? So it says Adam surveyed 120 students in his middle school. Notice the 120 is at the bottom and the rest of the information is put in. The 80 is already there. We see the 15 is there, the 40 is there, the 10 is there, and the 13. So they have put in these numbers for us. So they were kind of helpful, right? So we need to fill out the rest of the table. So what you want to look at, I see over here this 40 that are in 6th grade and 13 of them are not going to the musical. So I'm going to subtract, since I have the total, I'm going to do 40 minus 13, and that means 27 goes here. Well, now I have this 80 at the bottom, this total that's 80, and I know 2 of them, but I need to know how many are in the 8th grade. So I'm going to do 80 minus 27 minus 15. That gets me 38 here. I think I have one more subtraction I have to do. Look at the 40 at the bottom of not going to the musical. The total not going to the musical are 40, and I know 10 of them are 8th graders and 13 of them are 6th graders. So I'm going to do 40 minus 10 minus 13. That gets me 17. Now I'm ready to add to get the totals I'm missing. So the total 7th graders are going to be 15 plus 17. That's 32. And the total 8th graders are going to be 38 plus 10. That's going to be 48. Once it's all filled in, we are ready to answer questions. So the first thing it asks is how many 8th graders plan to attend the musical. So I'm going to look at the overlap between 8th grade and going to the musical. I see that that is 38. It asks how many 7th graders were surveyed. So I'm going to go to the total of 7th grade. The total of 7th grade is over here. That's 32. And The last one, how many sixth graders plan to attend the musical? So we look at the overlap of sixth grade and going to the musical. That's right here. That is the 27. So that's how you fill out a two-way table. That's how you answer questions about it. You are ready to do your practice.